extend your day. I love it. Mi abogado. Call to order the council meeting of June 26, 2018. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Madam Clerk. Sometimes you used to call the roll for the successor agency, City Council, Housing Authority, Finance.
Yes, Mayor. City Council, Successor Agency, Housing Authority, Finance Authority, and Parking Authority are in session. And a quorum is present.
Address the City Council. Any persons wishing to address the City Council on any item on the agenda today may do so at this time. Hearing no comment, we'll close public comment. Item 1, CSA 1 and H1.
Warrant register.
Move allow payment of the bills.
Madam City Clerk.
Council members, Successor Agency members, and Housing Authority members: Dotson, Padilla,
Aye.
Morales, Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Butts.
Aye. Madam Clerk, Madam Secretary, what's the next scheduled matter?
Chairman, the next scheduled matter is a public hearing recommending approval of the Inglewood Housing Authority, IHA, fiscal year 2018 through 2019 annual plan.
As notice of the hearing been given in the time, form, and manners required by law, and do you have the affidavit on file?
Notice has been given and affidavit is on file.
Have you received any communications?
No communications have been received.
Is there a staff report on this matter, Mr.
Yes.
Executive Director?
Yes, Mr. Cecil Flanori, HUD Manager, will give the staff report.
Now,
All right, so thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, the item you have before you for your approval is the annual plan as a part of the 5-year public housing plan for the Inglewood Housing Authority. The plan sets forth that for the interested parties, the rules and policies that are governing the operations of the Inglewood Housing Authority. Just a few highlights from our past year, 2017, 2018. We were able to maintain an average of about 900 vouchers being placed throughout the city. And this is out of 1,002. In addition, as a
you
part
said 9,000 or 900,000?
900 out of 1,002.
Oh, 900 out of 1,000.
And 900 out of 1,00002. I don't want that to be misconstrued.
Yeah, I thought I heard 900,000. I said,
no,
man,
no.
you need a raise.
Yeah, absolutely. working on it.
We can take over the county.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir. And just, just a few highlights from 2017 and 18. Again, we had a going paperless initiative to kind of reduce paper use and whatnot, and so we were able to get all the files scanned. And moving forward, we will continue to work on putting more forms, that are readily available online. And so that's to put the forms that we use consistently and on a regular basis online, so folks won't have to come in and have us mail out these mailings and they don't need the paper. Again, we also added local preferences for homeless individuals or those at risk of being homeless. And so we will allocate, or we have allocated up to 36 vouchers for that purpose. And finally, we've maintained and continue to push our fair market rent usage at 110% of what HUD's fair market suggestion is. So this is to offset any burden that might be experienced by our participants and voucher holders. And that concludes my overview.
Thank you. Are any persons present that want to address the Housing Authority members on this matter? Hearing no comment, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion for item 2 and item 3?
Move item 2 and 3.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. Consent calendar, items 2 through 12 and the joint consent calendar of 13 in CSA 3, 14 in CSA 4, 15 in CSA 5.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members and successor agency members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales, Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Buds.
Aye. SPH 1.
Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to schedule delinquent refuse and sewer accounts for the direct property tax assessment.
Move items 1 through 3.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales, Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. Set the public hearing for any protests on July 24th, 2018 at 2 p.m. SPH 2.
Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to initiate proceedings for the annual levy and collection of assessments for the Morningside Park Maintenance Assessment District number 1974-2.
Move 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. SPH 3.
Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to initiate proceedings for the annual levy and collection of assessments for the in-town maintenance assessment district number 1975-1.
1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. SPH 4.
Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to initiate proceedings for the annual levy and collection of assessments for the Inglewood Street Lighting Assessment District number 1980-1.
Items 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin, Mayor Buds.
Aye. SPH 5.
Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to initiate proceedings for the annual levy and collection of assessments for Darby Dixon Maintenance Assessment District number 1987-1.
Move 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Council members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. SPH 6.
Staff report recommending the adoption of a resolution approving the fiscal year 2018 through 2019 Citizen Participation Plan.
Move 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. A1.
Thank you, Mayor. No oral reports.
CM1.
Or report Seaman.
DC 1.
None, Mayor, thank you.
CT 1.
No report.
Wait a minute. Be still my beating heart. The successor agency has already been called to order. CSA 2.
Approval of the minutes for the special successor agency meeting held on May 24th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Successor agency members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
I'll adjourn the successor agency. The Housing Authority is already in session. H2.
Approval of the minutes for the special housing authority meeting held on May 24th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Housing authority members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the Housing Authority. The Finance Authority is in session. F1.
Approval of the minutes for the special finance authority meeting held on May 24th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Finance authority members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Adjourn the Finance Authority. The Parking Authority is in session. P1.
Approval of the minutes for the special parking authority meeting held on May 24th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Parking authority members, Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Chairman Buds.
Aye. Before we go to public comment, we have a brief report on our transit efforts as we try to figure out how we're going to make the connection between our downtown stations and the entertainment district. This requires no council action. It's just an informational report. Ms. Trifoletti, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor Butts and council members. I just wanted to provide a status report on the analysis that we have been conducting and outreach. As you know, under the direction of the Planning Division and the Public Works Division, we have been working on simultaneous transportation planning efforts. We're working on the long-range Inglewood Mobility Plan to be consistent and to update the Southern California Association of Governments Regional Transportation Plan looking as far out as 2040. We are working on opening day of the stadium and that's a transportation management and operations plan, and being ready for that in conjunction with looking at how to preserve and protect our neighborhoods with a neighborhood protection plan for parking. And we're also working simultaneously on an analysis of the Inglewood Transit Connector, and that's what we're here to give a little status report on right now. The Inglewood Transit Connector is intended to be an independent, automated people mover or monorail system that would connect from the Green Line and the Crenshaw Line in close proximity to your major activity centers, that being the Forum, the NFL Stadium, and the potential proposed future Clippers Arena. And we looked at a number of alternatives, and as you know, right now, while we have a lot of exciting things happening with transit, there's not a direct rail connection to your major activity centers. We also have been looking at and mapping existing conditions, understanding the different transit lines that are coming to the city, and we know that while we have some, there's not enough on the weekends and in the evenings, and so something absolutely must be addressed. We were here last time, and I want to introduce Sanjeev Shah to talk to you about the 4 alternatives that we have been evaluating, and now we have a report that is online and is available. We launched a website today. It's called envisioninglewood.org. It will also be available on envisioninglewood.com, and it is intended to allow the public to access information, and we will use it as a tool to keep documents available online for people to follow along. And I would like Sanjeev to come in and lead the discussion on the different alternatives, what we found, what we're recommending in this report, and then I'll come back to talk about next steps.
Mr. Mayor, council members, the 4 alternatives that you see on the screen in front of you: A is from Market, Manchester, connecting to our activity center. B is connecting from the Fairview Heights stations to the activity centers. C is going east-west along Arborvitae. And D is basically along Century. So these were the 4 alternatives, or if you remember, were initially identified in the prior Metro study and in the briefing that took place with you all last March, or about a few months ago. These were basically developed from the Metro study and then made very specific to the city of Inglewood needs and objectives. So one of the things that was screened out initially from all of this was that we knew that we could not run any of these alternatives at grade, because in that case we would be competing with the limited roadway capacity that we would have, so that would be a fatal flaw. Then we looked at it from a standpoint of, well, if we were to go ahead and run it underground, let's ignore cost for the time being. So again, let's look at it from a standpoint if we ran it underground. Well, along Prairie, which is where our activity centers are, there are major regional underground utilities down the middle of Prairie. So if we were to run underground, and since that area is common to all of these alignments, we would in essence be interrupting all the major regional utilities, so that ended up becoming a no-go. In addition, even if we were underground at the north and at the west end, at some point in time it would have to transition out to be elevated to avoid the utility conflicts, and that would again go ahead and conflict with the roadway system, and that leading to the same issue where we had with the surface. As a result, all of these alternatives are elevated. As Lisa mentioned, we're using the same technology, i.e. automated people mover / monorail. It's an independent operation. And here are some of the factors that we were developing through. And you have cost broken down into capital cost as well as operations and maintenance cost, annual basis. You have the ridership. And the ridership is broken down into two major parts. One is the event-driven ridership. We are going to have a lot of special events. And then we have the non-event-based ridership, i.e. what would be the regular ridership that the system would attract and support. The approximate length of the system, that obviously ties back to the overall cost and the amount of disruptions that we would have during construction. The utility conflicts and the ability to resolve with relocations. And this was broken down into both minor utilities as well as major utilities, i.e. those having regional conflicts. the potential right-of-way impacts and the ability to resolve them. And that goes back to, as you remember, these alignments were kept within the roadway right-of-way so as to minimize any impacts on private properties. And last but not least, P3 opportunities, public-private opportunities, i.e., we all recognize that things cost money, and one of the solutions that has to be found is how are we going to pay for this? And public-private partnership is one tool that is in the toolkit. So again, we were looking at it from a standpoint of, if this was a tool that the city was going to go and exercise, is it uniform across the board? Because we want to make sure that we are comprehensive. As you can see, alternative A is the lowest cost, is the least length, and has about the highest or close to the highest total ridership that it would support. It has minimal utility conflicts, and the utilities that do conflict are minor utilities, and there's a very good ability to be able to resolve them without major disruptions. The right-of-way impacts are minimal, and that the P3 opportunities are basically consistent across the board. So based on this analysis, the recommendation from the team, or at least the facts indicate that alternative A is the best alternative. Now, just to get into a little bit more details as to what these different alignments are. So alternative A, elevated approximately 1.8 miles. You see what the approximate station locations are. Again, we wanted to make sure that we had equity of service to all of the locations. And it was deemed, based on the facts, to be the highest ranked. Why? Because it promotes the local economic development opportunities in downtown Inglewood. We know that Market and Manchester are one of the downtown areas that we want to revitalize. This provides for that direct connectivity to it. It enhances the transit-oriented development opportunities. It has a direct connection between downtown Inglewood and the major activity centers, and there is minimal utility conflicts or challenges associated with it. When you compare it to alternative B, Fairview Heights, it is a longer system. It has 4 stations because we no longer would have a station serving Market, and along Prairie down south would approximately be the same. But as you know, that on the north side of Prairie, the right-of-way is narrower. We have the cemetery and the park on the east side, and then we have the residential neighborhoods on the other side. So it does not give us the ability to synergize this investment with our redevelopment in the downtown Inglewood area. Alternative C is the Arborvitae, and it basically goes east-west. And as you can basically see, that while it does provide for some synergy with the LAMP program that the airport is developing, it does not connect us to downtown Inglewood. The other complication, or the other technical challenge that has to be resolved with that, is the crossing over I-405 corridor, okay? And Arborvitae is also an extremely narrow right-of-way traversing through a lot of the residential neighborhoods, so that introduces some of the challenges associated with it. Last but not least is Century Boulevard, much wider than Arborvitae. Same challenges out on the west end, where we basically have to do the crossing over under I-405 in this particular case. Along Century, there are a lot of major utilities along Century that have to be dealt with and resolved. And again, no connection back to downtown Inglewood. So those were the key characteristics of the alignments, and what the key findings from the facts were.
The report that is now available online, it's available to you. We are now working to sit down with stakeholders, with community members, with all transportation agencies, chambers of commerce, business groups, Rotary groups. We will meet with all community members to really explain the rationale as to what the study looked at and why it does recommend the Market Manchester Prairie option. We are also simultaneously looking at how do we, it's one thing to plan it, it's one thing to environmentally clear it, but how do we implement it and how do we pay for it? So we've brought folks on our team to help us initiate and implement a tool called an Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, and that will enable a tax increment financing for this project that we could negotiate with the county to help offset the operating and maintenance costs and even some capital costs, and it will not increase property taxes. So it is a new tool. There's one in the county that has been done. The Southern California Association of Governments is looking to use this EIFD tool for a number of projects, and so are we. Associated with that, we're looking at public-private partnerships. We're going to look for all different types of private investment as well as other sources of government funds, looking at SB1, cap and trade, AQMD funds, and then trying to understand what available funds are for Measure M and Measure R that we could also tap into. So we're really looking at all of it. And where we are right now, based off of the recommendation, we will be initiating the CEQA process. So we have enough information to launch a notice of preparation, which is the first step in the CEQA process. Our goal is that in mid-July, we will have the notice of preparation released with an initial study. We will love to have, we're planning on having a scoping meeting. Our goal would be to have it at the new senior center and invite a lot of community members to learn about this project. And again, CEQA requires us to continue to study a reasonable range of alternatives. And throughout the draft environmental process, we just have a concept right now. We will be working together with you, with the community, with the city to help really define this project, define its design, define the interface with the street, really figure out where the stations are going to be located, where the maintenance facilities would be located, and where there's opportunities to bring in intermodal facilities as well. So we'll be doing all that work. We just wanted to give you the opportunity to know in advance that we're marching forward. We're going to be also looking at the project delivery strategy. So that's what we were here to tell you today.
Thank you, Mr. Trivedi. Thank you, Sanji. Public comment. Any members of the public that wish to address the council on any matter connected with city business not elsewhere considered on the agenda may do so at this time. 1 minute.
I want to thank Lisa Trifoletti and her organization for doing such a great job. You know, it's a great tribute when someone actually chooses to involve the community, unlike so many of the projects that you have chosen not to include the community. She actually put forth what multiple options are available and is allowing the community to know what is out there. It's too bad you haven't been doing that. And for that reason, you probably will find out many residents are displeased with your plans as opposed to the ones she has presented.
Ms. Trifoletti, would you come to the microphone, please? Ms. Trifoletti, who engaged you? Who do you work for?
Work for the city of Inglewood
Right.
at your direction.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Trifoletti. Appreciate that.
I just sang happy birthday to that young lady.
Okay. It was probably something to hear.
My name is Willie A.G., and I live in the beautiful city of Inglewood. I have a request for our family to form. Welcome to the beautiful city of Inglewood, California. I just, as a citizen for 53 years here, I would like for them to do a little bit improvement on the shrubbery outside, because as far as I know, it ain't nothing but shrubbery, and it's gonna make Hollywood Park development look bad, and I would like to see them get started right now. Some palm trees over there would really enhance the form, and, I just, I was happy to see them come, and I want them to stay. But that would make, they could look at Central Boulevard and use that as an example, and I think the citizens of Inglewood would be very proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That will close public comment. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Davis. That belongs to Mr. Trifoletti.
Sorry about that. Yes, Mayor, City Council, and staff. I just wanted to, again, give kudos where due to got involved with a few weeks ago. Caught eye on Inglewood, serving a valuable purpose. Folks are reporting what they see, trying to make their neighborhoods better, watching out for one another. And for me, it really brings into focus how much is going on and how big a bear in the basket, as a friend of mine in the audience likes to say, we have to deal with, even with a 7 square mile city.
9 square miles.
You know me, I don't count the cemetery. But anyway, thanks. Keep up the good work. Forward Inglewood.
Okay, with that, we'll close public comment. But Mr. Cipollette, one more time, who do you work for? Thank you very much. Did you develop these plans spontaneously, or was it at the? All right. Thank you very much. Council comments. Councilman Dodson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Triple A. That was a wonderful report. I learned something. So keep moving forward. I'm just looking forward to that happening. I had the privilege to go and congratulate Emma's sandwich shop. She's been in business right there on Market Street for 20 years. And the city gave her a plaque. And she's known as, for everybody who goes in, that Mama Emma. And to all the school kids, they all call her Mama Emma. And she treats everybody like a friend. So if you have a chance to eat downtown Inglewood, try Mama Emma's. The other thing, I'd like to thank the Rams organization for inviting us over to the stadium today. It's a dream come true for me. I never, ever thought that that would ever happen here. And I'm telling you, it's the real deal. We were able to go and sign the last beam and watch them put it up. And as I did that, I reflect on how many years I've been here and how we've come such a long way. So, with that, I thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Councilman Padilla, District 2.
Great, thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. I think 2 weeks ago, it was 2 weeks ago now, we had a taco with the cop over at Jose's Mexican Grill and Juice Bar, and I want to thank Jose for helping us put that together. But I really want to thank two groups. I want to thank Chief Ranarata and the men and women of the Inglewood Police Department for coming out and for engaging with our community. And I want to thank the community members that came out to talk with our police officers, to get to know them on a more personal level as it regards to public safety. And there was a great exchange. And again, kudos to our police department for all they do to keep Inglewood safe and provide top quality services to everyone. I also want to thank Brian Walker, and I don't see Brian, he's usually here, but I want to thank him. He put together a CERT training, and Councilmember Franklin and the mayor and I had an opportunity to attend the CERT graduation. There's a picture up there. It was a great community event. Shout out to LA County Fire Department for putting that training together, and to all the community members that came and graduated from this class that are now better prepared in the case of an emergency. And I shouldn't say in case, I'm going to say when that emergency occurs. And I also want to thank our CERT folks, because they're going to provide, working with the LA County Fire Department and with Brian Walker out of our Emergency Operations Services, they're going to provide the ongoing training so we can keep folks ready and prepared in case of a disaster. And again, Ms. Tripoletti and Sanja, thank you for this presentation. It's really good to know that we are anticipating how we're going to get folks from point A to point B, and that we have some options to think about. And I encourage folks to get on the envisioninglewood.org so you can get informed and participate in any community meetings that take place. With that, thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Wow, the timing was impeccable.
Right on 3 minutes.
Councilman Franklin, District 4.
Yes, just real quickly, I too want to thank Triple Eddie on the presentation of the TOD presentation, Transit-Oriented Development, because that's been one of the major areas of concern raised by the residents, and that is moving the transportation, the flow of movement of vehicles in, around, and out of the city. And I'm glad to see that we're now looking for areas above grade as opposed to simply being at grade with the gridlock traffic we're dealing with. I too want to thank the residents that gave of their 3 Saturdays in a row to become graduates of the CERT training program. 23 residents of this community says, I am willing to be prepared for my community in the event of a crisis. And we're always taught that you are given 3 days without any service or assistance to be able to sustain yourselves. And these individuals are prepared to help and reach out to their families and their immediate community. So hats off to them. I also give the outreach to the Hollywood Park development. What we did today was putting up the final beam on the roof for the future NFL stadium. I think was outstanding. It's great to see a number of the workers, over 1,500 steel workers and other labor members were there. They got recognized for their due diligence and their efforts for putting this stadium together. And 2 years from now, it will be awesome. And then finally, Mayor, I just want to reach out and say congratulations and happy birthday to Ruby Bennett. She will be turning 85 on July 4th, and she lives in District 1 for the last several decades. Thank you, Mayor.
Quiet birthday, July 4th.
Oh, yeah.
Be nice
I think her birthday started already.
Councilman Morales, District
Now
3.
we know who to blame for all that. Just want to start by saying, again, shout out to the police department. I got a hold of the police chief a few weeks back about an incident that happened with a senior citizen and in the neighborhood and kind of the whole turmoil that was going on. And it just goes to show you that no job is too small. I mean, he just updated me today. They visited all parties, and they took it to a place where, I have to say, community policing is strong in Inglewood. So I just wanted to point that out. Wanted to say that about 2 weeks ago, and all the members were there in my district, a new restaurant opened up, Lalo's Mariscos. Excellent food, excellent family. They own a catering business. They took over for a business that was currently there. A great turnout. And it's an amazing place. I think it was 4820 Century Boulevard, something like that. And it is excellent. So hopefully they're extremely happy to be in Inglewood at this time and on Century Boulevard. So we look forward to helping them do that. The Rams, it's amazing how far we've come. And we talk about the stadium a lot, but today was a symbol of just another moment where you're surrounded by folks that appreciate being here. All the people that were working there, I met a couple from Inglewood that have joined the construction trades. I mean, this stadium changed lives, and I have to tell you that it's something that, and right now I took my train of thought because it looks like I'm about to pop that button, so change it. So, anyway, I gotta tell you, back when we first brought the stadium, that suit fit real good. But anyway, it was a great time, and I have to tell you that it's amazing. Some of the folks that were working there, they want to continue to work on the site. They're looking forward to hopefully we get the Clippers Arena. They want to continue to be on the site. There's work for them for plenty of years, and I can't believe that a project changes that many lives. The mayor mentioned it there, and I got to tell you, on Arbor Vitae, which is one of the centers of my district, if you stand in the middle of Arbor Vitae and you look over, you can see the cranes, and so every day people are mentioning it, and it's just a moment to say how big the impact has been. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I wanted to talk about the stadium projects as well. One of the things that I see on Facebook and hear from time to time is, there aren't that many of us that are working there, and I don't know who they mean by us, but I kind of guess. And let me tell you something. First of all, there are 2,500 people working on this project, and I saw so many blacks and browns, Asians and whites. It was such a melting pot. Female engineers, operating engineers, female bosses, the owner of Curtin Dunsmuir, one of the subcontractors with a $2 million contract, women that are bosses. This is, oh, there they are. There they are. And Michelle Ballard and Curtin Dunsmuir leader. This has been such a revolution in terms of who gets hired and who benefits from these types of projects. This has been wonderful for the sense of pride in the community. This development, when it's finished, will probably have about 12,000 full-time jobs from entry level to supervisory to management and executive. And there'll actually be a place for the children of Inglewood to go away to college and come back to and live their lives and support their families. Now, this is not the last beam. This is the center beam for this phase of development. The last center beam will be for the roof structure that will be started pretty shortly. So, yeah, and so I just want to tell you that council and I were there, and we got to interface with all these workers and see directly the impact this has had on people's lives. And I have to come back to Mr. Brownlow. Makes me laugh because, you know, I've known Miss Trifoletti since we worked at the airport together, and I've worked in 3 different cities. Probably worked with, see, there's 400 in Santa Monica. That's just the PD. So it's 1,200 in Santa Monica, 45 here, 3,800 at the airport. So I've worked with about close to 10,000 people. Ms. Trifoletti is one of the sharpest people I ever met. And when we were going to try and figure this out, she was somebody I recommended, and the city manager did engage her. And then she introduced me to Sanji, the second sharpest person I ever met. God dog it. And I'll have to tell you, that was a fantastic presentation, you guys. Your work is just stupendous, and it's reflective of what the brand of Inglewood is now: high competency, high achievement, and this is the kind of thing that's going to drive us forward. So I want to thank both of you for working for us and doing such a good job. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.